Another good example of bricks getting very mangled, turned into stones, as we have seen plenty of times now already. Very melted here, and stuff can still grow here. Stuff can grow here and eat the carbon-14 and live here, as you can see. This is an old wall structure, very damaged, barely anything left, but we have a small pocket of survival. Yeah. This is all just melted red brick. I know you can see it, right? A little bit at least. You just need to view it from this perspective as melted buildings, melted red brick, and it's not that difficult to understand. If you just want to accept that your whole life was a lie, that is. More melting. Look here, that's melted. Come on. All melted buildings. Melted buildings. Do you think this is a natural formation? Right? It's not. It's melted buildings. And here more circuit board. This is the cathedral I showed you earlier, just from above. It's huge. And you see how it's all set up like a circuit board. And here you see many red bricks still here intact. Little damage, of course, and then you have the blocks turn into blocks here. More bricks here. Windows got swollen shut. Heat expansion from the sides, you know. So now it's just a tiny opening there. Rock balloon. And it also is buried by brick flood. Melt flood here, because it was buildings everywhere around here, right? And they melted, turned liquid, started to flow around here, around this building, surrounding it, and then it densified, and now people think it's mud for some reason. Another wall. Don't need to say too much here. This brick is almost perfect, and you see the bricks here. This one started to expand. Look at it here. You don't mold the bricks like that. You make them like that. And the mold is exactly the same every time. All the bricks are identical. So why are they so fucked here? Heat damage. Look here, all this starting to melt together. All this, look at the concrete. It's all a mess here. Another melted building, very obvious. Can we call this a pocket of survival? Yeah, I guess so. You see the roof structure here, all melted, of course. Some columns to hold it all up, and yeah, it's destroyed. They think it's carved. Another melted building. Just see how it's flowing down here, dripping down. Viscous holes from the top, on the top here. Holes forming when it was viscous. Dripping down. Look at it. And of course building ash here. This was all a big lake of building melt surrounding this building. All cooked here. All destroyed. Building ash. It's not sand. And here you see some of these statues. And you can see the core here was red brick, and then they just put some wet concrete on the outside. Sometimes also concrete molds on the outside to create statues of elephants and shit. Nobody carved anything. You just gotta look for the red bricks, okay? It was all red brick. Whoa, look at this one. This one is obvious. Here we have some kind of column thing. This was the building, and you can see how it tilted to the side. You can see how it's angled this way, right? But it's supposed to be straight up. So this started to sink down into the ground. It tipped over. And just look at the mess around here. It's all melted red bricks, guys. Here, brick lines, mangled brick lines, cooked brick lines, turned into block lines here. Heat expansion, damaged. Not natural, it's cooked and destroyed bricks. And here you see a window, and the bricks here around the window was almost not touched, but further out here you see rock balloons, stones and shit. And I believe that's because of, you know, the heat climbed through the building itself, right? And it reached here and around here and on the bottom. But here it didn't, because here is less brick to travel through, right? So here the bricks only get heat from this side, not here. So that's why this brick survived. It's what I think. And here, very obvious melted bricks starting to drip down and then densifying mid-air. Melted bricks in action here. Same thing, just another angle. Melting down, dripping down. What can do this to bricks? Right? This is the cathedral again, just further away. Just look at the magnificent construction. They were incredible builders compared to what we have today. But see the melt here, see the melt. Heat damage and melt. Dripping down here. Melted concrete, damage, destruction. And this one got damaged. This was a big ass building, and look here, you can even see the bricks. You see the bricks here? And you see some brick lines here. And it just melted down. And, you know, starting to flow down. And this is all liquid building here, turned into sand, dustified. This was a building, not a natural formation. That's insanity. Grand Canyon, pocket of survival here. You see the bricks, windows, and the rest is just melted into a big chunk. Here as well, melted buildings. You see the bricks here. And they say, this canyon was carved out from the water flowing here for billions of years and all that stuff, right? It's nonsense. Just use your head, okay? This is just a building here and a building here, and this is like the ground level. And the water comes from the irrigation system of these buildings, because they are still intact for some reason. I'll show you more later. Water still flows from these buildings. Here, cooked and totally destroyed bricks, but you still see some of the bricks. Here you see some bricks, little bit there. Here this is starting to expand. Tiny fractions of bricks here. A little bit in this area, but the rest disgusting. Heat damage, turn into a big block here. And here you see the archway, big arch, big building, all melted. All melted, no such thing as mountain skies. And then flooded, of course, flood waters here. Yeah, more melted than viscous bricks. Okay, so here is, guess, a melted building. Do you think anybody would go through the effort to carve this? Which again have been tested and it's just impossible. but just think about this. How we are told they were primitive people in the past, and don't you think they would be more worried about gathering food and shit instead of spending like, I don't know how much time it would take to carve this with hand tools, but yeah, makes no sense, guys. It's just a melted building, you know. Why carve this when it takes so long, so difficult to carve into here? Why carve this for no reason? And these details here, right? We have seen this detail in the architecture of the buildings I have shown you. This is just the remains. It's just a melted building. On the top, very mangled. Here, you can still recognize the structure itself. It's not a mountain. And this one, I love this one. I love to show it. Shown it many times before in my older videos. This is, yeah, you see the architecture similar to what we have seen, of course, from the old world. But you can see how the bricks turn into blocks here, and around here they started to get swollen. Heat expansion here. Just look at the ugly ass thing here. Turn into rocks, stones, heat expansion here as well. But inside here you see the bricks still. Here you can see some of the bricks. And when we go up here to the top, bam! Same architecture as before, perfect red bricks. The top survived, and the rest didn't do so well. But it's still a building, you can still use it, but it's damaged very, very badly. And this is the one we saw in Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon must have so many pockets of survival. There is a reason why we can't go there and explore independently. So what you see here is the brick lines. You see the block lines turn into block lines here. Here is another opening. Door, window, here is some more openings. This was a goddamn red brick building, guys. And it just got completely mangled. Here is the bricks. Just a little bit survived, not much. Rest is totally destroyed. And here, look at this whole thing melted. Melted into one big chunk. And you got the pockets of survival here. Red brick, all of it. Why build up here? You can't even get the fuck up there. It's nonsense. Don't watch television, guys. They are lying to you. I promise, they are lying. So here, another building, similar to the one we saw, just it had more building ash around. But yeah, you see the red color turn into block lines here. Cutting vertical blocks as well. Sometimes the X Factor like to do that, because it was a crazy event. And justified at the top. Still a little carbon-14, still available for the plants to live here. Red crown here, because it's red brick, it's not the earth. It's not the earth. We don't know what the earth looked like. Here we see this kind of thing again, that we saw earlier, where you have these layers, right? Blocks, 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 blocks. All the way, all the goddamn way here. It's crazy. I do not know. I don't have an explanation to why this happened. But we have seen this. I have seen this many, many, many times. I've seen thousands of pictures of melted buildings like this. And you see this layer shit happen. I don't know why. I really don't know. There is a lot about this X Factor that I don't know. I just know that it happened, and that's what I'm trying to explain to you here. So yeah, you see the red brick, the arches, the typical old world stuff, and this is all building ash now. At the ground, brick flood. It's surrounded. Look at these low things here. You can't walk properly through here. It's buried. It's buried. And here, yeah. You start to see the thing. I hope so. The arch. The bricks are still there. Here, turn into stone. All destroyed. Arches. Still red brick. This one as well. Here, totally destroyed. Some bricks up on top here. And building ash. This man is walking on building ash. All destroyed building. What can do this to a building? And here as well. This one was very viscous. You see the holes forming here. From when it was viscous. Do you think this is a natural formation? Come on, guys. You see brick lines. They started to tilt a little. Yeah, just melted buildings. All of this. And here as well. Yeah. That's a good one. Just look how it all looks like concrete here. Again, nobody carved anything. It's just a building. Concrete and red bricks. Pocket of survival here. You got rock balloons here, down here, all a mess. This is a very good evidence. You just need to look at it with the right eyes, okay? And that's what I'm trying to help you with here. Have you ever thought the thought that it could have been melted buildings before I told you so? No, that's right. So that's why I'm telling you, so you can see it from that perspective and understand what you're looking at here. Another old walled building. And here as well, pocket of survival on the top, and the rest is just melted. See, it's getting swollen here. See the wall here starts to get heat expanded and swollen. All a pocket of survival on the top. This is not a mountain. It's damage. It's very ugly. And yeah, look here. Another melted building. Still got plenty of red color left. See here, it's dripping down. You gotta be able to see this is melted, I hope. When I explain it like I do. Bricks at the bottom here. Look at the bricks. So all the evidence you need, guys. And look at this one. God damn. The X Factor cooked the living dog shit out of this one. Just look. This is the same architecture. The arch. These rounded towers. But just look at this goddamn rock balloons here. Look at those. It's crazy. This is so destroyed. See the rock balloons. All this was red bricks. Rock balloons. Blocks. Rock balloons. God damn, these got cooked well. Damage. Heat damage, guys. And this is the inside of one of these old walled buildings. And yeah. There is no words to describe this beauty. Just see how incredible and magnificent it is. This is in good condition. You see the domed roof. You see the details here. All this is bricks covered with concrete molds and exterior concrete finish. And then you have the incredible pipe organs. I have a video on this, and we believe them to be not just instruments, but healing machines of frequency. How the vibrations are filling the room here. and passing your body, your avatar, to heal you. They call them organs, right? Maybe it's a reason for it. Just look more into the history of organs. Of course, they give us the mainstream bullshit narrative, but yeah, this is incredible technology from the old world. And here, more red bricks, cooked and fucked, turned into stones. Rock ballooning here, heat expansion, turned into big stones. Some of them rocks, some of them stones, some of them boulders. And this whole thing up here. All this was red bricks, now it's not anymore. Now it's totally destroyed. Yeah, look at this one. Some pocket of survival here. A little bit. And then, yeah, just look at the melt. Rock ballooning all over the place here. Look at that shit. This is damage. This is not natural formation. Come on. Just look at it. And here, more red bricks. Most of them lost its original structure, as you can see, but it still remained very red. See here, start to get heat expanded here, turn into bigger blocks here. And of course, the building in the back. Damaged. This is not a natural formation. There is no tectonic plates here. It's a lie. And here again, pocket of survival. But this one turned into the Tetris pattern that I explained earlier. It's the same thing. Very red at the top still. Not so red down here. A little bit. But you get these patterns because all this was viscous, but still remained its structure as blocks. So it sunk down on itself here and created these weird ass shapes. Tetris wall. Here a big mess of melted brick. Here you gotta be able to see the melt, I hope. Look at this. Turned into blocks and all melted. Melted, melted. Look at this. This is melted. Come on. Do you see it? And yeah. Look at this one. Doesn't that look like a goddamn house? The ones we have seen before. Look at here. The roof here. This was maybe a window here, but of course it melted down. It got closed off. A door here. The typical mushroom roof here. Spire thing. Free energy. And yeah, it's just buildings. All of this is. All of this is buildings. But just look at this one. Melted bricks and concrete. Same thing here. You see the roof here. And here. An opening a little bit. This was a building. We've seen this architecture. We can recognize this. Here is something. An opening. This one melted. All melted. And we also find shit from the old world underwater. Statues and shit. How come? The flood. This place is flooded, guys. People used to walk here before. This is a street with statues and shit, and now it's flooded. And we got caves, which is just, you know, you see the scale of some of these buildings, because they are mountains now. Just imagine they had to have pretty big rooms in the buildings, right? So when it melted, as you can see from the ceiling, some of the rooms didn't collapse under the meltdown. And that's why we have what they call caves. This is the inside of an old wall building. And this one as well. And here you can clearly see the red bricks dripping down from the ceiling. And it's underwater. How do you do that underwater? That's impossible, right? That's why it's flooded. The water came in after. You can't melt bricks like that underwater. So the flood is real. The flood that everybody is talking about is real. Another melted building. Entrance here, a door, arch, window, more openings here. Here they turn into blocks, the goddamn bricks here as well. And here, look at this mess. It's just a melted building. Look here, you can see the arch. Bricks turn into blocks and stones. And this one more melting into one chunk here. Got the arch, just like here. And something in the background as well. Just melted buildings. And this, very good evidence. Tons of pockets of survival. But this one didn't do so well. And also, look how buried it is. This is the brick flood coming here. Brick flood coming here and burying all of this stuff. Surrounding it in liquid building. Look here in the back. Big melted building. And here, pocket of survival. Turn into blocks, and you can see how it goes fucking inside this building melt. This melted. This is incredible evidence. Okay, use your head now. You see how this is all melted, but this, look here. This one still goes in here, right? And you can see the column that's supposed to hold it up is going here. So it goes in, God knows how long. This one as well. It got buried in its own building melt. This is the thing we saw in the background, I think. And do you know what it is? That's right. Melted building. And here, brick lines, brick lines, brick lines, brick lines. Not a natural formation. Okay. And look at this one. Look what happened to the bricks. Look at those fucking blocks here. Look what happened, guys. Look what happened to the bricks. Heat expanded into big blocks. Look at the damage here. See some columns here. The whole ceiling is missing. The whole everything is just, it's totally destroyed. All this was red bricks. Building ash here. That's destruction. Okay, so here is a cave. One second. I don't need to draw on this one, but as I said earlier, caves are just rooms of old wall buildings that hasn't collapsed during the melt. But just look how melted this looks, right? Are you starting to see the repeated patterns? And how the mainstream narrative is completely bullshit. Another good example of brick lines turned into block lines here. And it's supposed to be horizontal. So this one this one tipped over as well. So the block lines and brick lines goes like this now. So it tipped over, but you can see the bricks. Just look here. So all the red bricks, guys. And this one started to turn into what they call mud. It looks like mud, or a little sand and a little mud on the top here. Okay, so that's where the so-called mud floods came from. Okay, and this is an interesting pocket of survival here, because you can see this wall structure, the arches here. You see, hold on, I'm gonna draw. You see some arches that used to be here. They got melted shut. But then, you know, the whole building melt just comes here. Starts to flow, heat expand, all that, and it starts to cover this part of the building. You can see how it's fused into the so-called mountain here. Nobody built like this, guys. It's a pocket of survival. This is a melted building. You can even, guys, look here, up here. Can you see the bricks here? In this area, and even a little bit of red color here as well. This is evidence, guys. I'm not joking around, okay? Here it is, close up. Just see how it's fused in here. Because this melted over here. It started to cover it from the sides. Okay? That's what happened here. So this is just a pocket of survival. Another one in Jordan, I think it is. And yeah, it's a melted red brick building. I'm gonna start going a little bit quicker because you should be able to see the patterns by now. Otherwise this video will be like 8 hours long and nobody will watch that. Here is the inside of one of these old wall buildings, and just look how incredibly beautiful it is. It's crazy, guys. This is all woodwork. Wood here, wooden arch, wooden railings. It's just wild how beautiful they lived. And this is a pocket of survival here, and it's just surrounded by another huge melted building. Building here, and this one survived. I don't know why, okay? That's the thing, but if we can get more people onto this quest for truth, then maybe we can find out someday. Here again, not carved. This is a melted building. You see the same, you just gotta recognize the architecture. It's in the melt here, with the arches. You got some bricks in here, turned into blocks. And more arches, columns, all that stuff, you know. That's how we know. So, again, if you carve this, why the fuck would you do this? Make all this design. If you are so primitive to that you have to carve your goddamn home into a so-called mountain, the only thing you need to carve is a hole so you can stay in there, right? You don't need to spend a lot of energy and time and effort to make all this. That's because it's not carved, it's just a melted building. And this is a very good evidence how we live on top of building melt, because this bridge here survived. You have a few pocket of survivals here on the top, and it goes way down here, and this part here completely melted here and here. And you can see water flowing still from these buildings, irrigation flowing. This water is very pure, very clean, and it flows from these buildings all year long. And it doesn't come from any lakes, it doesn't come from any rain or snow melting, it just flows out. So for some reason the irrigation system and water systems, plumbing system, whatever you call it, are still intact in many of these melted buildings. Why? I don't know. Inside another room of a melted building. They call it cave, but you can see the red bricks dripping down here and then densifying mid-air. Okay. And you got water again flowing from the buildings. You know just how beautiful the electric city of Tartaria used to be. They probably had a lot of, you know, water streams, man-made water streams, fountains, all that stuff to make it look beautiful, because you can do cool stuff with water. And here, this is a pocket of survival bridge, goes from one melted building to another. That's what they did. You didn't need to take the, you know, these buildings were so huge. You didn't need to take the elevator down, enter another building and go up. You just crossed from building to building. You could live on all kinds of floors here. And another beautiful building from the old world. And here you get a pocket of survival in here. This wall, you see the door and the archway here. And this used to be towers, you know, with the roofs here, all that stuff, but completely mangled, of course. I hope you start to see this now. And here as well, pocket of survival, bricks turned into blocks, and also a melt flood coming down this way. You see how uneven the ground is here, right? Coming down. Melt flood. Another melted building with some pockets of survival all over it here. See some of the red color, carbon 14, and just a very cooked building. It's not a mountain. Here again, pocket of survival, and the heat came from the bottom. Started to climb up here, you see how it's starting to get swollen here, the wall. You know, this is a building that's supposed to go down. I don't know how far, but just see how mangled it is here in this area. Starts to melt, you know. Heat expansion, melting. Nobody built on top of here. See how it's fused into the so-called mountain all the way around here. Right? It's just a pocket of survival. It's not a mountain here. And here you can see some rock balloons where the carbon 14 red color is getting squeezed out. Here you see the gray stone color, but here you see the concentrated red color from the red bricks, of course. You know, why are rocks like this supposed to be red naturally? Just think, people. I'm explaining what's happening here. And this is bricks. They are supposed to be horizontal, but they got spaghettied a little bit when the building collapsed on itself. But you clearly see the bricks in here. Okay? Do you see the melt? Do not ask me why this one and this one are untouched. But just look at the rest of them surrounding here. That's the thing you need to understand with this X Factor event. It was so crazy. It made the bricks do all kinds of different things. Rock ballooning, popcorn blocking, turning into big blocks, starting to form vertical columns. And sometimes you just have the pockets of survival in the middle of a melt, like here. It's a very crazy event. Here you can see some bricks here. This one got very melted, and then just look in the background here. Looks like a castle, right? Because that's what it was, a building. Just another example of their beautiful architecture. And this is also buried. You have windows down here. Most of these buildings are buried. Another old wall building. Looks like a electric something, right? Just look at this tower. It looks like it can do something electric. A component on a circuit board is what it is. Another old wall building. A little heat damaged, of course. And you just notice the copper roofs here. Why put copper roof? Because copper can conduct electricity very well. It's technology. And it's also flooded. Another one. Notice the domes here, the architecture, the arches. It's undeniable. It's all built by the same people. The inside of another one here. It's beautiful, right? It's incredible. And we are told the ancient people were dumb when they can do this. Compare this to the modern buildings and tell me who's dumb. Yeah, some columns just standing here. Looks like yeah, it's missing a whole part of the building here, of course. But these columns looks like how it's connected to the grid below on the circuit board. This is all red bricks covered with exterior concrete finish. And excuse me. And yeah, you see the bricks here turned into blocks. You got viscous holes here, just damaged. See here. And you got something out here in the floodwaters on the level horizon here. Another very damaged building. It's the same kind of buildings. Arches, windows, arched windows. Here is something. Doorways maybe. Just very damaged. This isn't done by cannonballs, guys. Just see the thickness of these walls, etc. These buildings are so durable. Another pocket of survival here. And here you get this layering again, which we have seen before. You got blocks, 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 and then bricks, 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 etc. I don't know why, but that's what it did. And you see the bricks here. Bricks in the arch. Here turned into blocks again. Another one. Damn, these buildings are damaged. Notice here. See the bricks. And here, starting to turn into blocks here. Got a brick down here. Turn into rocks. More bricks. Red brick. That's all this used to be. Red brick. Rocks here. And yeah, you see the damage. I think you're starting to see what I'm trying to say, so I don't need to go in too much detail. And yeah, the arch, the bricks. You got bricks up here, got bricks in there. Here you have a brick. You have a red brick here. You have bricks in here. You have bricks in here. Yeah. Do you understand? In the back here you have. This was all red bricks, but now it's heat damaged, so We got this disgusting looking thing now. And this is all building flood here. The ground. It's not mud. And here you see the red bricks clearly, and how the heat came up here and mangled the bricks. Rock ballooning here, turned them into rocks, or balloon rocks. And this one was also hit very hard at the top. In here, as you can see, did the same thing. And here, see how it's starting to expand here and deform the bricks. They're starting to change shape here. And on this side as well, starting to get swollen. This turned into a big red block here as well. Big red blocks here. But it was all bricks, you can see it here in the background. Inside another of the rooms of one of these melted buildings. Just see the melt, the dripping. Do you understand what you're looking at here? How everything was a lie? Another amazing old world building. Looks like technology to me, guys. Up in the air here, looks electric. Lots of antennas for the ether, etheric energy. And the arches, tons of columns here. And then, of course, everybody have seen this one. Looks like some device. And you can see how it's leaning. Because the ground started to melt. It was all viscous melted ground here. So it started to tip over. But then it densified before it fell over. And that's why we have this leaning tower. Very easy, very simple, guys. And here, very similar to the one we saw not very long ago. Heat coming up here, starting to mangle and rock ballooning all these red bricks. And it came this far, and then you have the bricks on top. And here it's starting to churn the bricks as well. Creating a mess here, tons of popcorn blocks here, popcorn bricks I mean. Just a mess of building melt here. A big solid chunk here of melted bricks and concrete. And here more brick flood here. Turn into this muddy looking material. Which is just a building. Just a building, it's not land. Pocket of survival here, and just see how melted and mangled it got here. Heat expansion and swelling. Just really fucking up the building. This is all buildings. Everything you see in this photo is buildings. Here. This was melted building flood down here. This was all big buildings melted out. All cooked on a fucking ocean of building melt down here. Here is another one. And here you see an example of how these big columns are just the red bricks. Here the exterior concrete finish have fallen off by time and damaged. Maybe it melted off, I don't know. And just see the bricks here, what happened to them. Turned into these ugly stones here. And here. And you see something in the back as well, bunch of columns. Just compare it with a circuit board, and it looks like a component. And here, again, just melted buildings. You see some of the openings still. And here, pocket of survival here. And just, yeah, you see the melt. Another one, pocket of survival, starting to get buried in itself, the building melting from above, coming over it, and then densifying before it was completely covered up here. creating a rock curtain over it. Another component on a circuit board or building. And yeah, look at this. Look at the heat from the bottom here. Like up to about there. And just see how swollen and mangled it is. Here, just look at that. Totally cooked and melted. Pocket of survival. The building here. Section of the building here is completely melted, and this one is not. I don't know why. And here, lots of red bricks, and what you notice here is how it's, you know, starting to fall down here. It was all flowing here. Viscous and moving and flowing bricks starting to fall down. And then densifying, frozen in time mid-air. Look, just look here. Before it hit the ground or fell off. See the dripping? And also notice how the water is flowing out in big amounts. All year long you will see this water flow. And it's very, very clean water, as you can see. Very good water to drink this. It's very good for you. See here, building. Another impossible to build building, because it wasn't built this way. It's a pocket of survival. Heat coming up, as usual. Usually it's from the bottom, came up this far, and it got swollen, mangled, and destroyed. And also inside here, very cooked and damaged. More red bricks, starting to get mangled, turning into block lines here. Building ash on the bottom. These so-called stones here were churning in this liquid building lava in the bottom. That's why they are so rounded and smooth. They were just laying in this liquid building melt, getting cooked. You see some openings here, arches, doorways, whatever it is, and then brick lines, brick lines, brick lines. It's a building. And here, lots of pockets of survival, but also lots of melt all around this area here. This is the big one, melted building. And in the back, very, very melted. Just turned into this sand. Dustified buildings. Look at this tower. Looks like a antenna. This one has many antennas. It's a device of some kind, a power plant or something. They call it cathedrals and shit now, but that's nonsense. Pocket of survival, another impossible to build thing. This was all red bricks, and now it's just this mess. So, there was my explanation of some good examples of the melted buildings.